Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for August 29th through the 4th of September, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Sagittarius, this week, very important week in the astrology. We have a solar eclipse taking place in your house, your ninth house. And this is about new beginnings, particularly with your belief systems. What's possible in life? What are the potentials in life? And even that life path very directly, because the ninth house is about the future life path, and so is that north node. Every time we have a new moon next to the north node, that's the eclipse. It's always a very transformational time, particularly of changing our life path. And for you, very much so. Changing your life path in a way that can expand your horizons. You can see, again, those possibilities and maybe even change those belief systems because your mind is opening up, or maybe you're becoming more adventurous, okay, in that sense. But it does take time for this solar eclipse energy to work its way through. The solar eclipse will be on Thursday. So leading up to it, it's good to let the energies die down a bit, to reflect on things. Then around Thursday, some new insights will likely come your way, which has something to do with the ninth house. For some of you, it might be travel, others university studies, philosophy, spirituality, all these kinds of things which open us up. Or just generally, you guys are changing your perspective of life and your worldview's changing. But give it time, because going into next week, we'll start to continue that lunar cycle, and especially in the coming months, because the eclipses are, they happen every 6 months, and come February, March time of next year will be the high point, will be the status check, and perhaps even cultivation of a lot of the things that you do start off here with this area. All right, so that's the solar eclipse. Now, it is going to be collectively challenging. I say that because we do have a T-square taking place here with the eclipse. Now, it's nothing new, in fact. Saturn and Neptune. Okay, Saturn has been squaring up to Neptune this year, and for those of you who've been following the dailies and weeklies, I've been talking a lot about surrender. I've been talking a lot about acceptance, and perhaps this confusion and uncertainty this year collectively about what we're building. And this is if the mind gets too caught up, right? If the mind wants to figure things out, wants to understand what we're building, what the future has in store, it creates the fog, it creates the uncertainty. So the challenge here is to challenge ourselves to have more acceptance in our lives as best as we can, to accept things for how they are, to accept ourselves for how we are, and even the things that are building or the things we don't know that's around the corner. So presence, living in the present moment, truly is key with Neptune. Now, a very good way of working with this is that, first of all, you've had Saturn in your 12th house this year, helping you get disciplined with your spiritual life. And so anything you can do to discipline yourself here, whether it's through meditation, spiritual activities, getting to know yourself more on a spiritual level or psychological level, doing whatever work is necessary to have peace and tranquility, which is the result of all of this spiritual work and even psychological work, right? So connecting to that beingness and challenging yourself to do that. So it's not always easy with Saturn, especially not in squares, but through a willingness to limit yourself, to have the patience and persistence necessary here, then it can be an excellent way of cultivating this area. In fact, for those of you who do put in this patient and persistent approach here, you'll find that over the next couple years, you may actually accomplish quite a bit when it comes to your personal, spiritual, and psychological development, and maybe even that peace and tranquility as a result. All right, so that's the Saturn side of it. Neptune has been transiting your third house, and this is the square between the 12th and the 3rd. The 3rd is the mind, basically. It's our rational perspective of things. It's everything that is practical in our life. It's like the left side of our brain. And, with Neptune here, it's showing that you can become aware of the mind through presence. You can learn to work with the mind in a way of detaching, of surrendering from any mental noise that may be surfacing up, as we all have. But it's a spiritual time for you to learn how to release the mental noise, release the mind, surrender it, and accept it, because that's what it's about, right? Not pushing it away, but accepting it, being aware of it. And that's the challenge of the 12th. But when we do that, it helps us enter into a much more peaceful state, a more meditative state. And if you listen to most meditation teachers, this is exactly what they concentrate on, is the mind, being aware of the mind, and through that accessing presence. So that's a good way of working with Neptune here, and it's also with the South Node. Maybe there's some old mental patterns, some old belief systems that are being released as well. So if you do see that occurring in your life this year, these old patterns, any extremes that have to do with the mental side of things, or maybe even too with communication, is often third house, or things in your immediate environment, or your peers or siblings. There's some old patterns here in those areas, being aware of them and accepting them, right? Just like Neptune. And through that, it can liberate you. It will liberate you spiritually. And of course, we still have to do it from time to time, but as we do the process, it liberates us that much more. And that serves the foundation to then cultivate your life path, which is the more expansive, what you might call right side of the brain, right? The possibilities, the potentials. And as you do that work here with the mental mind, if you want to call it that, more practical mind, do that work, it serves the foundation to open your mind that much more, see potentials, etc. Okay, so that's a good way of working with it. They're really just two sides of the same coin, left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. Can't have one without the other, but here it's suggesting bringing balance to the left, so to speak, in order to cultivate the right, and to do the right in a balanced way also. To have adventure, possibilities, potentials, belief systems, yet that are grounded, right, and balanced. So that's the solar eclipse, very powerful collectively. We do have Mercury going retrograde here this week as well before the eclipse on Tuesday. The eclipse will be on Thursday, Mercury retrograde on Tuesday. Mercury retrograde here in your 10th house. So first of all, with Jupiter shifting into your 10th house these past couple weeks, there has been potentials. There has been opportunities with your career, with your productive life, and there will continue to be so for the next year plus with Jupiter here. But now with Mercury going retrograde, maybe there's some things to rethink about the career stuff, or the work, or the productive life. Maybe some things that need to be redone, reworked. And it is a great week to sort of pause and start to implement this, this reflection, sort of redoing regarding that area. Now on Monday, Mercury is going to be going over Venus. So at the beginning of the week, this is accentuating the fact that there is values here. There's perhaps even relationships being cultivated in your work life or your career life at the moment. And maybe even you can learn more about that. Maybe it's a communicative day socially in the career side of things or the public side of things. And Venus is also your values in a material sense. So you could be learning more about the material values you derive from your work, or just simply the things you enjoy in your work. And it can be an excellent to connect to those values on Monday. All right, so that's Monday. Tuesday's the retrograde. Good day to pause, to start to reflect on those career things. Thursday's the eclipse. And then as we approach the weekend, Mercury's going to go over Jupiter. So that's emphasizing the possibilities and potentials. Maybe you'll be seeing them, or maybe rethinking them, rethinking these potentials that do exist with your career and productive life at the moment. All right, so Sagittarius, that's the week in a nutshell. Definitely the emphasis on the solar eclipse, new beginnings with possibilities, with potentials, with your belief systems, all stemming from a more open mind and having that adventurous spirit of life, of being willing to go into life with that, openness to learn and to have adventure and perhaps even excitement in that sense. But it does require the work, of course, and it is here saying that there can be some good areas to challenge yourself in order to do that in a healthy way, which does have to do with your spiritual self, which does have to do with the immediate environment and the mind. But through that, I think this can be an excellent time to continue to cultivate this expansive area of the chart. All right, so Sagittarius, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.